Welcome back. One of the things which we would want to do starting now is make use of a framework called Bootstrap. Bootstrap is one of the most popular CSS frameworks. It helps us to design our pages in a very attractive way. As you can read in here, Bootstrap is world's most popular framework for building responsive sites. What we'll do is we'll use Bootstrap from a content delivery network. So you just need to search for Unpackage Bootstrap 4. Unpackage is one of the content delivery networks from which we can pick up the CSS file as it is. So what I'll do is I'll pick up the 4.1.0. Any version which is greater than 4.10 should be fine. I'm going to take the CSS and I'm going to use the min.css file which is present, bootstrap.min.css. You can see that this size is much smaller than the bootstrap.css because it's a minified version. So let's take this and we will use this in our application. We would want to use Bootstrap across the application. So what I'll do is I'll put it in the styles.css. The styles.css is at the root of the project inside the source directory. So inside the source, you have styles.css at the root, and the styles inside this is applicable to the entire Angular application. The way you need to import this in is by saying at import. This is basically CSS syntax, and you can specify the URL. The URL is what we see in here. As I'm not saved it yet. Let's see the page before saving it. It looks something of this kind. And let's save it, and let's see the page after that. You can see that the fonts have become little bigger. There is much more space, and also you'd see that the look of rest of the pages also would improve a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. Now what I want to do is also add a menu and a footer as well. Let's create a couple of components for the menu and the footer. We'll use the second command prompt that we already have. What we want to do is ng generate. Make sure that you are inside the to do folder. So ng generate component, let's say menu. We'll put menu at the top. So it would create the menu component. That's done. And now I would want to also create the footer component. Now what I want to do is at the top of every page we would want the menu and the footer. How can we do that? What I can do is I can go to the root component. Root component, what is it? app.component.html. If you look at the menu component, the menu component.html says menu works. I'll just replace this by top menu elements, and for now let's just put a br. Not the best thing to do, but we'll replace this very soon. And we will have a footer component.html, and what we'll do over here is also footer, and before the footer we'll put a couple of BRs. And what we want to do is include these components in menu and footer. Think, where would we add them in? I would recommend you to pause the video in here and try and use it as an exercise. We would add it in the app.component.html. This is where we would want to define our header and the footer. How would we do that? Pause the video in here and think about it. I would want to add the menu component here and the footer component below it. How do we do that? Okay, let's look at the menu.component.ts. What's the tag name? It would be app-menu. So what we need to do is go to the app.component.html and replace this stuff with app-menu. And what would be the footer? Try and guess, or look at footer.component.ts, app footer. Right? Let's see how the page looks like right now. So you have the top menu elements, this thing, and the footer. What we have now is the basic elements of any web page, right? You have a top menu component, you have a footer component, and you have the actual content. And if you go to the root page, we can go and log in. You'd see that the top menu element and footer remain as it is. Now I enter valued values. The middle of the pages, the content of the page changes. Now I click here, and then you would see that the content of the page changes again. In the next few steps, we will add elements to the menu, we'll add things to the footer, and we'll make these content of the page much well formatted. I'll see you in the next step. Until then, bye bye.